What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video looking at the Bitcoin city being built in El Salvador right now. It is amazing everything that's going on, how they're building it. They've issued the first Bitcoin bond, and things are just rapidly changing across the world and across the finance industry. Everything is moving towards this Bitcoin. But before we jump into that, if you are not subscribed, make sure to smash that sub button because we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But let's jump into this Bitcoin City talks. We have El Salvador Bitcoin City planned at the base of this volcano, and you can see El Salvador plans to build a Bitcoin city at the base of the volcano with cryptocurrency used to fund the project. Its president announced the city will be circular to represent the shape of a large coin, Bitcoin, and will be built in the southeast region of La Union. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the president said that site would take advantage of Conchagua volcanoes geothermal energy to power Bitcoin mining. He added, so basically this city is going to be a huge Bitcoin coin. That's how it's going to be based off of. When you look at it from the sky, that's their whole plan, is to have it look like a circle, like a coin. And they're going to build out like the infrastructure, something, the buildings in there to make the Bitcoin B logo in the circle. So if you're flying over it, it'll look like a actual Bitcoin, which I think is awesome. And you kind of look through this a little bit more. It talks about didn't provide dates for construction or completion, but said that it's estimated the public infrastructure would cost around 300,000 Bitcoin. And the way they're going to go about raising this money is issuing a Bitcoin bond. So you see the El Salvador plans the first Bitcoin city backed by Bitcoin bonds. It's awesome. All this stuff kind of goes through it a little bit, but this talks right here. The chief strategy officer of blockchain technology provider Blockstream told the gathering the first 10-year issue, known as the Volcano Bond, would be worth $1 billion, backed by Bitcoin, with carrying a coupon of 6.5%. So it would like pay out 6.5%, and then half the sum would go to buying Bitcoin on the market. So 500 billion would go to buy spot Bitcoin, and then the other half would go to build out the infrastructure, that public infrastructure, build out the city, do everything that needs to be done to do that, and then fund it. And the plan, obviously, is after a 5-year lockup, that El Salvador would start selling some of their Bitcoin used to fund the bond, give investors additional coupon, so to like pay off the bond. Obviously, you have to do that. So it's a 10-year. It's like buying a 10-year treasury bond or treasury note. Right now, those are what, like 1.7% or something. So this would be 6.5%. So if Bitcoin goes up more than 6.5%, then you're good. You know, you don't have anything to really worry about. But actually, you needed to go up a little bit more than that because only half is going to buy Bitcoin, and then the other half is building out this infrastructure. So if they talk about it here, talking about right here. So the game theory is already on, and if you dive into Bitcoin, you realize it's about a big game theory and first movers. Like El Salvador starting to do this, and then another country is going to see them finding success with this, start doing that, and then all the other countries are going to start joining this network. That just adds competition. They all are fighting for Bitcoin. Then you're going to have the U.S., China, Russia, Europe, all of Europe coming in and fighting for even more Bitcoin. And that's this game theory and why Bitcoin is going to be so valuable in the future. And you can see it right here talking about the game theory on the bond. Gave first issuer El Salvador an advantage. Mao argued, saying if Bitcoin at the 5-year mark reaches $1 million, which I think it will, they will sell Bitcoin in 2 quarters and recoup the 500 million. So let's do some math right now. Bitcoin is at 59,405. So 59,405. Okay, 59,516. That's what we're gonna leave it at. If it changes, it changes. But if it's $1 billion and they're going to buy 500 million, so you'd have to do it the other way. So $500 million, and they're going to buy Bitcoin. Say they buy it at 60K. I'll just make it even numbers. So it'd be 8,333 Bitcoin for the 500 million. The other 500 million would be going to build the city, build that out, provide infrastructure, do all this stuff, because there's going to be no taxes there. That's another huge thing that we have a chart for. But it would be 8,000 8333, about that for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin goes to $1 million a coin in 2026, that would be 5 years. That's obviously $8.3 billion. So if they paid back and sold off the $1 billion, that would leave them with $7.3 billion of Bitcoin that they would still have, the bond fully paid off, and they would have this money to continue providing infrastructure and stuff like that. Or they could issue another bond for $1 billion to buy Bitcoin, and they could do the same thing. Or they could use all of that $1 billion to go out and obviously use it for infrastructure, use it for public goods and everything instead of providing taxes. And that would be, you'd be able to use that to pay off these bonds. And if it's another 10-year bond, which would mean even at this rate, this 10-year bond, this would be 5 years in, you wouldn't have to pay it all off at once, obviously. But you could pay off more. You could pay off this like coupon dividend or Bitcoin dividend they've been talking about. That would make your bonds more attractive, because not only do you still get 6.5%, now you can also get more yield because of the dividend that they would be able to provide you because of Bitcoin going up so much in value. So it would just open them up to have so much money and just be able to get so much prosperity and so much good things going for them with this type of bond. And this is the outlines of the Bitcoin city set to build, and this is why they want to make it so attractive, be the financial kind of center for the world. It'd be 0% income tax, 0% capital gains tax, 0% property tax, 0% payroll tax, 0% municipal tax, and 0% carbon emissions, because all of the energy for the entire city will be provided with the volcano, so geothermal energy, as well as the geothermal energy would be mining Bitcoin. So then they would have 500 million from the $1 billion bond to buy Bitcoin, have spot Bitcoin. Then they would be mining Bitcoin to add even more Bitcoin to their stack, and be able to provide these services and public goods and everything that everyone says you need taxes to do. They wouldn't even need it because they would have Bitcoin and be able to be mining Bitcoin and doing all these things on their own, and that would be able to support it. But the one thing I do see, or I have heard, is I think it's a 10% sales tax is going to be the only tax that's going to be there. So it's not going to be like completely tax-free and everything. But right now in the US, basically anywhere you live, you're taxed at about 50%, because after you do property tax, sales tax, income tax, you have state income tax, federal income tax, you have all these things. Once all those get added up, you're taxed at about 50%. So going from that to 10% is amazing. And then you combine all of these great minds, because you'd be able to bring in Bitcoiners and these tech guys and be able to come here, and they would be willing to help out, try and do things right and help everything going right. And I think that's something people kind of don't dismiss, and to think no one would ever help somebody else. And this is what separates Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community and Bitcoin as a whole from the fiat world and the debt world. Because we see right here, talking about that, Mbuke, the president, said special thanks to Max Kaiser for inspiring the volcano bonds. So Max Kaiser was in El Salvador, kind of talked to him and said, I think this would be a good idea. This is why, lines it out, and talking to people to get ideas, because you're not going to be an expert at everything. But you see, mining Bitcoin with geothermal energy from volcanoes was an idea first suggested to the president in Twitter Spaces. The president of El Salvador was in Twitter Spaces having a conversation with everyone, the Bitcoiners, everyone who wanted to come in, and just had a conversation, talk about this stuff. He wasn't an expert on it, but they brought in experts from the mining industry and said, you could do this, and help him do it. Then issuing the $1 billion bond against the future output of said Bitcoin miners was first suggested in a tweet. Now both are implemented. This is the best timeline, and this is exactly how things should work. It's so much better this way if you have leaders who are willing to go on Twitter, in Twitter Spaces, hear what people are saying, listen to the industry experts and get their opinion on things and have them help you. And the reason Bitcoin's different from the fiat world in being able to do this so well is because Bitcoiners will go and help you. And like him saying, if he had no idea how to start mining Bitcoin with a volcano, the miners who are mining Bitcoin already can come to him and say, we'll help you set it up. We can do this. We can get all this sorted out. And in that world, because you have Bitcoin, it's going to help you all. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is as long as you hold it and you go and help somebody else with Bitcoin, it helps you get more money, or have Bitcoin become more valuable. You don't need to say, what can you give me because I'm helping you? You can just go help someone and it's benefiting you because that's how the system works. But in a fiat world and in a debt world, it isn't, I'm going to help you because it's going to help me, because it doesn't help you unless you're getting something from them. So you would say, I'll help you if you give me 20% of the profits, or if you give me X amount of money to help you. But nobody will ever just go and help you set up something, set up this mining rig. If this was not for Bitcoin, or no one in this traditional finance world would say, yeah, let's take the time out of my day to help you, if they didn't have any Bitcoin. But that's the beauty of Bitcoin, and the difference of this whole system is you are going to be able to help everybody else because it does come back and help you, because it strengthens the network. This is just to end the video off on this kind of slide, gets a little bit more insight into this Bitcoin bond. It is the first Bitcoin bond, which is really crazy when you think about it. So this talks about what the kind of breakdown of the $1 billion would be for. It would be 500 to buy Bitcoin. So acquire $500 million of Bitcoin and liquidating it quarterly basis after 5 years to generate additional capital that could be used to fund financing cost and additional infrastructure development. So obviously that's what we were talking about before. $500 million of Bitcoin. They're going to lock it up for 5 years. If Bitcoin's at $1 million, that 500 million turns into 8 billion, and then that can fund infrastructure. That can fund things like I said, public infrastructure, additional infrastructure, financing, doing all this. It can fund that as well as fund the return of the bond itself. And assuming 5-year volume weighted average price of 50,000, the note would generate additional capital of 160 million. And once the original 500 million have been monetized, that's what this whole thing is talking about. That half 500 million, half the additional gains would be shared with investors as the Bitcoin dividend. So it's just great to see the first Bitcoin bond. I think it's going to catch on, and the game theory is just getting started now. So that is the Bitcoin city, how it's planning to fund itself with a Bitcoin bond and be a financial center for the world with basically no taxes besides a 10% sales tax. As far as I know, that's what I think I've been rumored and what I've read. But if it's not true, then there's just no taxes, which is even better, and being able to fund it directly off Bitcoin and the appreciation of that, and leveraging a $1 billion Bitcoin bond to be able to leverage it into Bitcoin as well for the city. It's wild things happening. We're going to see how this plays out. I think it's going to be amazing for everyone. And this is the start of the game theory where El Salvador does this. Other countries see it. And if it's successful, they'll see how successful it is. They will want to do it themselves as well. And then you have global competition from countries competing for Bitcoin. And people said it would never happen. But as always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And I'll see you guys in my next video.